Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Team Grothendieck weekly status meeting. Today is October the 10th, Tuesday, October the 10th. Okay, so the last week I was talking about trying to get a status update for the Daedalus integration. Daedalus being the fantastic UI that IOHK has put together, the fantastic wallet UI, and Mantis being our code base. And so we're delighted to have Dominic here from the Daedalus team, just to give us a brief update as to how that's going. Dominic, can you let us know how that's going?
Hey there. So I want to give a brief update about the current status, and so we are currently finishing up the basic integration points. Like we had to refactor a bunch of stuff in the architecture of the code to make it multi-currency ready, basically. This is pretty much done now, and we have our first endpoint integrated with the syncing API from Mantis, and we are using the AWS node that you provided. So that's all running, and the next step will be to gradually replace the UI parts that are different and the logic that needs to be separated from the ADA logic, basically. So I guess, yeah, we're like right on the starting point of exploring the API for from the Mantis client, and yeah, gradually we'll update the parts that are ETC specific, and we can also build already an ETC specific client version. So yeah, it was like the last week or last 2 weeks were like laying the foundation and groundwork for all that and discussing a lot of future decisions because we prepared the whole thing to be able to run ETC and ADA at the same time too at some point, which is not the immediate goal, but we knew that it is a long-term goal to have multiple currencies running side by side also.
Okay, thanks for that. So when you talk about sort of, I guess, the exploratory nature of it, that leads me to think you're not confident about an end date at this stage. I mean, I certainly wouldn't like it to put you on the spot and ask you to commit to anything, but have you any feeling for the complexity or the difficulty, or what's in your mind?
I mean, like a real end date is a bit hard, or a deadline, but I'm much more confident to say that we are like we already explored a little bit how it would look like. The biggest chunk is probably to go through the UI updates and change the parts that are different and so on. And of course, some parts are a bit a black box for us still, because for example, we don't know yet how easy or complicated it will be to fetch transactions, which seems to be quite different from ADA, for example. So there's some parts are related to API exploration, where we probably, if we can reach out to you guys for help, it might be much faster than just us trying to fiddle around.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as a general point, you know, anytime that you want to try, you think we might be able to shortcut something, just reach out.
Yeah, of course. Like I said, we just reached the point. Basically, I finished the basic setup to make us ready for that like 2 days ago, and our team, like one guy was on holidays now, so tomorrow we will sit down and actually merge all that stuff and pretty much like, yeah, ask you about specifics for the integration. And I mean, I can only guess, but if everything goes well, I would say
Okay,
months.
no, hang on. No, I certainly wouldn't like you to say any dates at this point. But I guess what I'm really wondering is just in terms of percentage, you know, because I guess sometimes when we're chatting, I get the impression that it's you know, that you guys have been through a lot of the use cases, but and then other times it's, you know, we talk about sort of just exploring and having to go through the UI piece by piece. So as I say, sometimes that leads me to think we're kind of in the second half of it, and sometimes I think we're very much in the first half of it. So from this conversation, I'm guessing we're in the first half of it.
Yeah, definitely. So it's really like the starting point now.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of the UI is not necessarily currency related. So it's like there's definitely a lot of stuff to do, but it's like the most important groundwork was actually already done. All the other stuff now is just like shooting out the features and integrating as much as possible.
Okay. Okay, that's great, Dominic. Thanks for that. Does anyone have any questions for Dominic while we have him? No. Okay, Dominic. So what we do is we just go through everybody else and give our status updates. So as I mentioned, I mean, if you're busy, you're welcome to drop off, and if you want to hang around, you're welcome to.
Thanks a lot.
So apart from that, the two things that we're working on is our ETH pre-Byzantine or pre-Metropolis or support, and some of the refactoring and pushing in a few extra features. So that's what we've been doing. I think that we're pretty close to the current crop of extra features that we decided on have been more or less added in. I think there's one PR still hanging out there. And apart from that, it's just a fairly significant refactor. So, Radek, at the risk of a little bit of repetition, can you just tell us the benefits of this, briefly, the benefits of this refactor and where we're at now?
Yes. So currently we're at the stage of review. The pull request has been prepared and it's been reviewed, and also there was a bug found which was already fixed. So the usual process, but on a bit larger scale because it's a large pull request. As for the motivation, we are now able to run certain blockchain tests from the Ethereum test suite that we were not able before. So this task, along with a small follow-up one, should enable us to run all the tests from that suite and also update them to the latest version, because we're a little bit behind the current repository of those tests. The follow-up task being EIP, implementing EIP 684. Alan?
Oh, sorry guys, it's really difficult to speak when you're muted. Nico, thanks, Radek. Nico, could you give us an update as to what you've completed since last week?
Hi guys, so during this week I mainly focused on two tasks. One is investigating the Daedalus installer. I've been taking a look at it, but I was able to successfully run it on my Windows machine, and I took a look at the changes required for being able to change the Cardano client that it's being used in the installer with the Mantis client. I haven't yet. I started a bit of testing of that, but I moved on to looking at one random issue that seems to be happening with our database, which is that node was missing during the execution. An MPT node was missing during the execution of the blocks, which causes our database to be corrupted and so the execution can no longer be resumed. And I'm currently taking a look at that and taking a look at the level DB code base to see if there's an issue there or maybe it's with our client. Currently, I don't. I have some theory that they are just work in progress.
Okay. So I think we've gone over and back with this between blame with a small b on the level DB code base and blame with a small b on our application logic. Have you? Where's your mind at since this morning? If you don't mind telling me.
I currently think it's something with our client, but it's just a theory. I have to discuss it with Alan. That's also taking a look at something similar, something close to what I'm looking at. So I'll mention it later if it's correct, my theory or not.
Okay, all right. Keeping your cards close to your chest. Okay, thanks, Nico. So Mirko, you were out for a few days, but you've been working on an install of the we'll say a project that involves the Mantis client. Is there any update that you can give us over since last week?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
So far, so good.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks, Mirko. Łukasz.
So this week I am working on the ETH validation of block headers. So it involves two things. One is to generate the smaller data set, which is the cache. And then the second step is to generate parts of the whole DAG to actually validate the block. And it's of course needed because currently we only have like a simplified version of block validation. And once this task is done, we can completely validate the block against the DAG.
Okay, and what is the? I mean, is there a security implication for not validating? Do we know what the downside of not doing this is, or is that a more involved question?
So in the network as we have now, well, we currently rely on other nodes validating this. So if there was a network of only ETC client, Mantis nodes, one could create a block header with invalid nodes that wouldn't be validated against the proof of work.
Okay. Okay. Okay, and Łukasz, you're having a look at that. Go ahead.
In short, we need to do that.
Yeah. I hadn't realized it was. I was actually under the impression that we were already. We do have some validation, I know, for our transactions, but I thought we had done. I thought I didn't realize we were actually that open. But anyway, we won't be shortly.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Łukasz. Conrad, you were working on dividing up some of the peers.
Hi, hello.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the week, I finalized and merged peer about unlocking your account for a specific number of time. It was already merged. For the rest of the week, I worked on separating our incoming peers into peers that are pending currently handshaking and peers that are handshaked already. And PR for that is in review currently. Make a review for Radek for his PR in.
Yeah, for that that rather large PR.
Yeah, it was also.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Conrad. Alan Verbner.
Yes. So as Nico mentioned, my current task is try to execute our client within Robsten network, and I'm trying to find at least 2 bugs that we have identified. First one is it's quite, let's call it random. It's about that missing MPT node. So we are trying to find the reason behind that issue. And also, I just found another error related to LevelDB when running our snappy test, which consists in executing all the blocks from a snapshot database and comparing the state root hashes afterwards to check if execution was okay. And it's brand new, so I'm trying to investigate what's going on there.
Okay.
And also I have several instances running fast sync and regular sync against Robsten just to get some data and, I don't know, try to find any errors while that's running in background. And that's it.
Okay, thanks, Alan. So yeah, you've got a few head scratchers there, I guess, and there's a little bit of overlap with what Nico's doing. But as before, I expect that we'll get through that and come out the other side with some smiling. So just in terms of rolling up that the status, the things that we're working on, as I said at the beginning, is we're hanging out for the dataless integration, which Dominic has updated us on. We have most of the extra tasks that we wanted to get done, the extra little bits of features that we wanted to get done in. What we don't have as of yet is we haven't started our regression test cycle. And beyond that, then we need to actually plan for an external for a release and beyond that, a launch. And then the one other thing that is going to have to happen probably in November, when we get a lot of this stuff squared away, is going to be a code audit, which I'm in the process of trying to get organized. So hopefully we'll get that sorted and get the results in, obviously, before we go to we try to talk about general release, and that will involve yet another regression test. So that's the update. No more dates as of yet. Okay, does anyone have any questions? No. Okay, that's great. Thanks very much, everybody. Talk to you soon.